Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Beav Brodie podcast. This episode, I sit down with my friend Amy Tucker of Salty Britches, and we discuss her journey as an entrepreneur in the necessity for a product that turned into her creating a brand, and where she is now, and what some of her pain points have been along the way to help her through a few of those. It's a good one. It's long. It's fun. You will love Amy. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going great.
I am so happy to have you here.
Oh, I'm happy
I needed
to be
your
here.
energy in the building today.
Yeah?
It's a rainy day outside. Everyone's been kind of somber. Construction happening next door. It's been a little noisy, so I appreciate
Bring the party.
the uplift in the attitude. We needed it.
Good. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
For sure. So take 2 seconds. Let's tell everybody who you are,
Okay.
what you do, and then we'll get into some hot topics.
Awesome. So my name is Amy Tucker. I'm from South Carolina, and I'm a mama. And that's really where this whole thing started. I have a 13-year-old son who we would go to the beach for a vacation, and every time he'd get in the ocean, he'd get horrible chafing on his legs, under his arms, on his chest, and it would ruin our vacation every year. It was so frustrating. We went and tried to find different therapies, different creams, different shorts, different everything. For a couple of years, we did that, and nothing would hold up in the ocean. So just out of frustration and what we like to call mama desperation, I went home and created my own concoction called Salty Britches. So, and then we changed our entire life to launch this brand, and it's been fantastic.
That's awesome. Some of the greatest things in the world are made out of necessity like that. And it's so interesting that nothing was out there to solve that problem for you.
Not for the ocean. There's alternatives for running, but nothing that was robust enough that really worked in the salt water. Mm-hmm. So that's really our niche, but then it's
the salt
spread.
water is such a harsh environment for anything.
Extreme, yes.
Anything. I mean, as a boat owner, it's like the worst thing in the world, you know, but
think about what it does to the bottom of your cars. And yeah.
That's crazy.
But for little boys that really want to play in the ocean, I mean, within 5-10 minutes, he was done.
That's crazy.
He was done, and that's on day one of vacation. So something had to happen. Something had to fix that.
Yeah. So you created a cream for that and to solve that problem. And by the way, I'm aware that there's a man past that on my couch behind me. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see John back there, who's one of Amy's sponsored athletes.
He's like family now.
He
just comes over and takes a nap.
That's my personal trainer back there. He's getting ready to beat me up in the gym later, I'm sure. Cool. So you go from a necessity for this product for your own kids to actually creating the product for yourself. Did that then turn into the brand at that point? Like you created it for yourself first.
That's right.
Did you create it with the intention of creating a product or brand or anything? You're
no, not at all.
Let me solve this problem. Let me help my kids so we can enjoy our vacations.
Yes.
And then it caught on.
Well, for 4 years, I made it at home and just shared it with family and friends, close friends. Did not even give it another thought. And then in 2017, we went to the beach, and my stepson went, who had been through college. He played collegiate baseball. He had finally graduated, and he came to the beach with us. And he asked me what we were giving Trent, our young son, so that he could protect his legs and play in the water. And I said, it's just the stuff that I make. And he was like, oh, well, let me try it. And he tried it, and he came back that night. And to know Clay, he does not just come out and say, hey, this is good stuff. But he did. He came to me and said, you're crazy if you don't do something with this. And coming from him, who's been an athlete since he was born,
right.
It really kind of struck a nerve, like, oh, you think so? And he's like, yeah, and I want in on it. So we actually started right there on the beach in 2017. I logged on and set up my LLC right from the beach. And so that was 4 years after we started making it at home. And then we posted on Facebook that we had a solution. So moms, if you're getting ready to go to the beach, your kids suffer from this, let me know. Oh my God, it broke my Facebook.
Really?
I had like 700 comments in about 15 minutes. It was unbelievable.
That's awesome.
So we just started getting messages like crazy, and then it really started getting weird because people would just show up at my house. Hey, I hear you have that stuff, Salty Britches. I really need to buy it.
You're like a drug dealer.
It was.
Hey, you got that stuff?
It was. I had to put a little cooler on my front porch and leave it for people, and they'd put the money in it, and they'd pick up their Salty Britches. And it was just,
so funny.
it was nuts. And I was working full time. My husband works full time. So I traveled a lot for my job. And he'd get home before me, and the whole kitchen would be set up perfectly for me to just blend and mix and pour.
Get to work.
Yeah, every night. We could not keep up with demand.
That is awesome.
So that's when we knew, okay, we probably need to really do this for real.
Going here. Yeah. That's a similar story to my friend Betsy of Betty's. She makes, you may have seen me post about it before. It's a bed sheets and comforter all in one, and the comforter zips up. And they initially made it because she had twin boys with bunk beds and trying to get them to make their beds and all this stuff and getting on the top bunk. And so they just zip up. It's kind of like a sleeping bag, but they're very nice. They're very, and now they make them for all sizes. Like I've got one of my bed that I sleep in, master bed, king bed, and it zips up. So they make really nice stuff, but then they also make really fun stuff for the kids and of all sizes and styles and designs. But it was the same thing. Like she created this thing, and then it just like blew up, broke the internet, and she's awesome. She'll be on the podcast soon too. We're going out to Utah in a couple of weeks, and
fun.
You would love Betsy. You will love her.
We can commiserate on starting a business.
Yeah, she is amazing. They were like Utah's like top 5 fastest growing businesses, and
wow, nice.
They've been all over. They're doing really, really well. I'm super proud of them. They're like kind of a new brand too. Like we all kind of started around the same time, and they're doing really well. So, but similar story. It's really cool. I love when you take those necessities and you go from like, you feel like this regular mom with a job, and then you create this thing and it just blows. It's a whole new excitement, a whole new world, a whole new everything. It's so cool. So where are you guys at with things now? What's the brand up to? What are some of your struggles, your pain points, things that I can help with, answer questions, whatever?
Oh, good Lord. We don't have enough time, probably.
We got plenty of time.
Questions. It's been so much fun. It's really been a positive experience. I mean, we changed our entire life to do this.
You win all, like, that's a big bet. You know what I mean? Like, you're betting on yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people aren't willing to take that risk.
It is a risk, but it was just exhilarating.
You felt like it was worth.
Oh, yeah, because the demand was there. I mean, we could not ignore that. We did not have a Facebook page yet. We didn't have an Instagram yet. This was just on my personal Facebook page, and I couldn't even handle that. So we started, the Facebook pages and the Instagram pages, and I am completely green when it comes to all of this technology. That was really a weakness for me. But, I had my strengths, and I just worked with those. And really the networking and meeting people, which is my favorite thing to do, that worked for our advantage.
Right,
and, I met John, and I met Georgie, and I met all these wonderful athletes. By the way, when you're surrounded by these people, all of a sudden you feel like you need to get your life together.
I know. Tell me about it.
I got to start I need to run. I'm 44 years old. I don't like to run. I'm going to run. I'm going to run. You're going to learn to love running because you're around all these people that love running. But, yeah, that's been fun, just meeting the new personalities and understanding what they struggle with. I mean, these guys are elite athletes. To swim, to bike, to run, all at the same time and on the same day.
Right.
You need something that protects your skin. So that took us down an avenue that we weren't expecting. So we started in the surf market, and we are in stores that are in New Jersey. We are in stores all up and down the East Coast. We have one in California. So we're growing, and I haven't cold called very much at all.
Yeah, that's super cool. So how did you get from making it at home? Well, what was let's back up. Your background in being able and knowing how to make something like this yourself, because you were in the pharmaceutical industry.
I was.
So you
I have a chemistry degree, but I reached out for real help. I had not been a bench chemist for 17 years. So I reached out to a woman that is a contract chemist. She's up to speed on all FDA requirements, and I needed her to help me with stability for the formula so that it wouldn't melt.
Got it.
So
you asked for help.
Absolutely.
There's no such thing as a stupid question.
No.
And that's one of the things that you have to learn over time and as you get older, because when you're younger, you think you know it all, and if you ask a question, you're dumb or something. I've learned when I was probably 18 or 19, thankfully, that's pretty young, I feel like, to learn that lesson of like, just ask. If you don't know, just ask.
Yes.
Someone has the answer. Someone will point you in the right direction.
Well, Beav, that's a great point because when I didn't have a clue how to start this. I mean,
nobody does.
Right.
You got to
that's part of the fun.
Figure it out.
Yeah. So I started calling manufacturing facilities.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I have a product and I need somebody to help me make it.
Right.
I can't make this in my kitchen forever. So I started calling around and they would laugh at me like, how many tubes are you looking at? And I'm like, I don't know, 500. And they're like, you need to move on to somebody else. And I'm like, I don't know what I need. I don't know what I don't know. So one guy was kind enough to refer me to this website that is for frequently asked questions, request for information in cosmetic manufacturing. Very easy. I went online, filled out the information and the questions that I had, and then I started getting contacted by different co-packers, which are manufacturing facilities.
Right.
One in particular was very small. They're based in Minnesota. A lot of them are in Minnesota for whatever reason. And he said, do you have your formulation? And I said, I do. I'm obviously not willing to share it with you until we...
NDA and things like
yes,
that
until
in
we
place.
take care of that. I said, but I think I need a little help with it. And he was like, oh, well, you need to call my friend Tammy, who's in Iowa. She's a contract chemist. This is what she does. So I typically do everything a different way than most people do. I'm learning. Mm-hmm. So I called Tammy and said, hey, can I come see you? She was like, I'm in the middle of Iowa. People don't really come see me. We usually just handle it over the computer. I said, well,
nope, I'm coming.
I want to come see you.
That's how I am.
I took my 13-year-old.
Awesome.
So we took a trip to Iowa and went into her lab. And I really wanted to see if any of this would spark interest in my son. It kind of did. It kind of didn't. He's like, I'm bored. This is a lab. I want to do
Science
something
class,
else.
Mom.
Yes,
Get me out of here.
Yes, and I love science. He's like, meh. But anyway, I took him, and we sat down with her, and she said to me, I've never had anyone come to my lab. She had a whiteboard behind her that was covered in all sorts of
Just crazy
information.
stuff.
And it was brands that you and I use every day and know very well. And she said, you can see I don't need the work, but I really believe you're onto something, and I think I can help you, and I want to work with you guys. She probably wouldn't have had that reaction had I just talked to her on
Over the phone. Yep.
I believe in eyeball
I'm sorry,
to
I don't
eyeball.
have time for this.
Yes, which is what I was running into so much.
Face-to-face interaction is everything. There's times where I've gone on a trip or gone across the country to California to some conference or whatever, and it's just like meeting that one person, but being able to do it face to face. Because I could have contacted that person on Instagram probably. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm Beav. Da, 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 and
Hey, that's a question I have for you then.
What?
Because when it comes to influencers, I've been very blessed with that. I've had some luck. I've had some not luck, I don't know what you call it, by reaching out on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Jesse Eatsler, who is the husband of Sarah Blakely, who started Spanx.
Okay.
Jesse is an influencer in his own right. He runs ultra marathons. He is a beast. I reached out to him on Instagram, and he responded right away. Yeah, send it to me. I'd love to try it. That in turn led me to Chad Wright, who he was a Navy SEAL, retired in January for 12 years. He's also an up-and-coming influencer in the ultra running arena. Mm-hmm. Also a beast. I highly recommend you guys follow Chad and Jesse. But Chad has been wonderful to me. He's like, please send it to me. I'm running a really hot and humid 100-mile race, September the 21st in Georgia.
Good night.
Shoot me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, you definitely need Salty Britches. So I've had lots of luck in those spaces, but I've also reached out to some folks and I can't get a response. So is there a trick of the best way to do that?
Yeah, it's tough, especially when you're reaching out to people that have a big audience. It's increasingly more difficult because when you have a big audience, the DMs you just get bombarded. They're hard to keep up with. You end up with, dozens and dozens of them that are like pending in the queue, and like you're trying to at least keep up with what's going on. Like the direct message side of Instagram, it could have such better organization to it. And even mine, like I try my best, but there's some that just fall through the cracks and people just never get a reply because by the time I've seen it, read it, I need to like get some sort of information and reply to that. Yeah. But then I've gotten 30 DMs since then. And then when you try to scroll back and find it, you just never find it. And then they're just lost in the mix. So it happens all the time. I do it to people unfortunately, like not on purpose. It just happens. There's just no good. It's not like your email where there's an inbox and there's read and there's unread. You can't sort through them very easily, and the only way the search function in DMs only works to search their name.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of
course.
DMC 1319. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
So it's like, but it just happens. So persistence, I think trying to keep your name in the top of that inbox is probably not a bad idea. Some people I've met, some influencers who've stopped by are like, I don't read my DMs,
Yeah.
or,
I'm sure.
or I don't care about my followers, which really frustrates me. 'Cause I'm like, those people, the reason you have a business,
right?
buddy, so
Yeah.
anyways, that, or if you can get an email address for them is huge.
Sure.
That's a really good strategy if they have an email address, or trying to get into their comments is another good thing. Get into a comment, say, hey, I left you a DM, you know what I mean? In a comment on a photo, because a lot of times they'll see the comments, or if it's a photo that maybe only has 2 or 3 comments, if one of those is yours,
Sure.
they'll see that.
Yeah, that's pretty intuitive. Yeah. That's
And then they
good.
can go look for that in the DMs or whatever. But that's a decent strategy for trying.
We've been blessed in that a lot of this is a faith journey anyway. And I'm of the belief that if the good Lord wanted me to hook up with that person, that door would have opened.
Yeah, a lot of things happen like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has for us.
Yeah, and it sounds like you've had so many people kind of come to you and say, hey, send me a tube of that stuff. And like, it costs you little to send them a tube.
That's right.
And then get them to make a post and endorse the product. And you're not having to pay them as an influencer for this post. Like, that's amazing. And when you have a good product and you have a good brand, people jump on board. We've had that for years now. Like, there's certain people we pay on a monthly basis that help promote the brand and things of that nature. And it helps create content for us and stuff.
Yeah.
But when you have a good product, you have the good brand, and you get those reviews, you had messaged me about the number of reviews we have. But like, our customers end up with an army of these micro influencers, because they're all posting for us all day long. They love their bag. It's so practical and all these things, and they're leaving reviews on the website. And so if you're doing the right thing, if you treat them right, you give them a good experience, you give them a good product, everything else falls in place, The reviews, we incentivize reviews by giving a free product to leave a review.
Now, how do you do that exactly?
So we use Yappo. It's very expensive. I think there's some other platforms out there now that are, I know there's other platforms out there for reviews that are less expensive, but I don't know the full capabilities of them. Yappo, it's very expensive. I want to say it's like
everything is expensive.
$15,000 a year or something like that.
Wow.
For reviews. I don't remember the exact number, but it's up there. I mean, it's 15-20 grand a year.
Wow.
But we have a huge return, or a huge review rate. It's like 20-something% of our customers leave reviews, because it's so easy in the email to leave a review. You don't get taken to another window. Whoa, that light's flashing. You don't get taken to another window or another browser or anything. You can do the whole review in the email, hit submit, and you've never left your email.
Yes.
And then once they submit that, they get a coupon code immediately that allows them to check out with a free, whatever, a patch or this or that.
For a second purchase. So the free purchase is
and it's
purchase.
for a specific item, and that changes depending on what the item of the time is. But there's sometimes it's a patch or a carabiner set, but it's usually like a $7 or $8 thing.
Nice.
That they can get for free for leaving a review. So that usually
very
helps
good idea.
them leave reviews.
Sure.
So and Google looks at that stuff, so that helps you rank on Google when you're getting constant reviews, number of reviews, volume of reviews, recency of reviews. There's a lot of things that. Sorry about all the noise in the background for those of you listening. We're doing some construction next door.
Progress. The sound of progress.
Yes, I'm all about it. But the reviews is a big thing, and it's social proof. Like, everyone needs that social proof, so that when they come to your website and they see that, like, here's a brand they've never heard of. Should I trust this brand?
That's right.
I'm going to rub this on my kids' legs, and they're going to break out into some hives or rash or have allergic reactions or whatever. Well, they have 9,000 reviews, and there's a bunch of 5-star reviews of everyone saying it's the greatest thing that's ever happened. And, like, it's an easy sell.
Yeah.
You know?
We've been fortunate to have a ton of reviews on Facebook, and we need to convert those to our website. So we're working on some of that now.
What website platform are you on?
Shopify.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's good?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, you couldn't be on a better platform for where you're at right now. That's awesome.
Okay, that makes me feel good.
Yeah, no, that's great. Are you doing anything for reviews on your website right now? Are you using any like apps on the Shopify side? There's a great app called Judge Me. It's like $5 a month.
Oh.
It's very capable. It does a lot of things. I don't know how it works on the email side. Like when it sends an email to your customer to leave a review, I don't know what that experience is like exactly. But for $5 a month, it's a great place to start.
It's better than what I'm doing now.
Yeah, it's awesome. And you can you can change the colors of the stars and the fonts and the text so that it matches the website and all that kind of stuff. So definitely Judge Me.
Well, growing a brand has turned to be, it's tough. It's doable, but I hear statistics like, well, it takes 5 to 8 years to grow a brand. You have done it well before that time frame.
I don't know. Here's what's really funny. A lot of people put our brand like on a pedestal of like, you guys are, to me, I'm like, no, it's just us. Like, I don't think anything of it. You know what I mean? And I've just always been that way. I'm like, oh, I'm just doing my thing over here. And people are like, yeah, but you guys are tactical baby gear. I'm like, oh, what does that mean? Like, you know what I mean? But there's brands I think of like that. There's other brands that I'm like, yo, that brand, you know? And they're the same way. They're like, oh, we're just doing our thing over here.
Yeah, like Nine Line. I think about Nine Line and how big they are.
They're huge, yeah. They're doing great.
They are. I mean, it's been a lot of fun to watch them as well. So we've definitely earned our master's degree by making some mistakes along the way.
That's the best way to figure it out, though. It really is. So many people are afraid of those little failures, but the little failures are how you learn and figure out and get to the right place. Because, and I tell people all the time, I give advice like this a lot to people. And I have to remind them, like, listen, just because that strategy worked for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you, you know, or whatever whatever that particular thing is, which is why I quit talking about, and the people listening will probably know this. I used to give a lot more like Facebook ad funnel strategies of like, here's the top of the funnel, here's the bottom of the funnel, this is how I do it. But then as time went on and I helped other people, I realized that that's not going to work for everybody. You have to test things. You have to figure things out. You have to run this ad and let it fail to understand that that style of whatever isn't going to work and you need to try something else. You know, it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall.
It is. And you'll get inundated. If you're starting a new business, you're going to get inundated with all of these experts that want to sell you training on how to do Instagram, how to do Facebook, how to do ads, how to build funnels. I mean,
Ryan's looking at me because we cringe over that stuff all day, every day.
Oh my gosh, and they want a fortune for it.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you learn one of them, they change the algorithm anyway, and it's just obsolete. So warning, if you're building a brand, don't do that. Don't
buy into that stuff.
Yeah, so
there's plenty of people out there giving free advice and free information. Myself, there's guys, there's some people that have paid courses, but they give a lot of information for free before they make you pay for something. Guys like Ezra Firestone is a great resource. He has a company called Smart Marketer. He's got some great products. He's got another business called Zipify Page, or is it Zipify? That's one of the apps. Anyways, he's got some apps for Shopify. They've got like a post-purchase one-click upsell where they capture all your credit card information. And it's based on like McDonald's. Like, would you like fries with that? But you've already gone through the checkout process. You've already got the payment information. And they've purchased, let's say, a tube. You could say, hey, would you like to add a second tube for only a few dollars more? And all you have to say is yes or no. Once you say that, then it just adds it to the charge, and then it continues.
Oh, you have seen that personally when you're buying things online.
It's great. But anyways, he developed that, and he had to work through a lot of hoops to make that happen, to be able to capture that credit card data and hold it.
Sure.
And so it's very interesting. The guy's super smart. He's got a makeup brand called Boom by Cindy Joseph, and it does like $50 million a year or something silly. And it's like exclusively online. He's got some really good information. I've met with him before. Smart guy. But they do a lot of like.
You've met with him. I mean.
Yeah, he came to Savannah one time, and I spent probably 3 or 4 hours, like me and him sitting at a table hanging out.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy. He's very, very smart.
I've had the pleasure of meeting some brand owners that have really good stories, but have a lot of warnings with big box stores. So, for example, when you are growing up as a brand, not to make the mistake of going straight to big box, that independent retailers are your best friends because they understand the brand. They can talk about your brand. They can
They
educate
need less
your
profit
brand.
margins.
Yes.
There's a lot of things.
Yes.
That was an interesting time, or an interesting. When I first met, or not when I first met Alex, I grew up with Alex. When I first reached out to Alex, my business partner, was because he had posted a picture on Facebook of a product that he invented and patented and all this stuff, and he had taken a picture of it on the shelf in Target. And when I saw that, and I was like elbow deep in tactical baby gear by myself, didn't know the next steps to take because I didn't know the retail world. I was building custom cars. So I don't know anything about retail or e-commerce. Like I had no idea. So I'm like, Alex, that's the guy I need to reach out to and talk to. So I call him, and he blows my mind with all this information. And when he first came on, kind of the initial thought was, well, he knows the buyers at Target. He already knows the process. He's been doing this. He was selling to Target and Macy's and Urban Outfitters and like just all these major retailers, And he knew that. So he knew that world. He was living in that world for years. He understands that, and he knows how to get in touch with the buyers and to the right people. And so I was like, our thought was, well, let's get the manufacturing of this thing figured out, and then let's take it to the retailers. And then we got the manufacturing figured out, and as e-commerce started to evolve and really turn into like a viable, like you could go direct to consumer. You didn't really need the middleman. You didn't need the retailers like you used to get that distribution. And as Facebook ads started to kind of evolve and you could like really target your audience and get in front of exactly who you wanted to get in front of, we're like, well, man, why did we give up 50 or 60% of our profit to these guys and make like little to no money, or I could just spend a fraction of that profit that we would lose, spend that on ads and make a lot more money getting directly to who we want to and not having to dilute our message to cater to Target's audience because we're such a kind of a controversial brand, Like here we are with guns and babies.
Guns.
Like you think Target wants to be associated with that? Not so much. But they did. They didn't care. Like
That's interesting.
we've turned down business with Target. We turned down Toys R Us. Some Babies R Us. We turned down business with lots of major retailers because we looked at the market. I mean, we turned down Babies R Us, and then like 9 months later, they're out of business. You know what I mean? So it was like, good thing we didn't go through that headache because we probably would have been out a lot of money because, they want to put in, let's say they make a $2 million purchase order. Well, I've got to fund the manufacturing for that.
That's right.
Well, I don't have $2 million sitting around, especially then. It's not like I had $2 million to be like, oh, yeah, we'll just put this, in the manufacturing. So we would have to borrow that money at probably a 10% interest rate for, it takes 3-4 months to manufacture, and then they want like net 90, and then they're going to pay that late, and then I'm paying 10% on millions of dollars for several. So by the time it's all said and done, you make no money. And you went through a lot of headaches. And then there's going to be some sort of chargeback or returns, or they go out of business and don't pay the bill. Like, who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a pain, a huge pain.
That's such a great insight because the stories I've heard along those lines are, well, they give us a $2 million PO and we don't have the $2 million. So we
You have
get
to go factor
investors.
it. Yep.
And then investors own 50 plus of the company. And then here we are without a brand that we started and we pumped all of our life into, and now we don't own it anymore.
Yep.
And that's not what we're interested in. I would rather grow slowly and learn these mistakes as I go.
It's a marathon.
It is a marathon. It's all about the journey.
It's not a sprint.
With our sleeping trainer over there. But, that I'm interested in this being a legacy brand for my son and my family as well. And it belonging to our family as long as possible. But, a lot of that may be kind of blue sky, but everybody keeps asking, when are you going to be in Publix or when are you going to be in Target? Or, well, I don't know if I ever will. I really like the idea of these independent retailers. I believe in independent retailers. That is the backbone of America, really.
Yeah.
And that's
in a world where you don't
fit.
need them, like you used to need to have to do that to get the distribution, but now you've got the internet, you've got direct to consumer, you've got incredible marketing platforms. You can get exactly who you want to get in front of. You got influencer marketing, you got all these different avenues. Then that's kind of the middleman. That's the target. There's no more gatekeeper that's going to tell you how to run your brand because that's what they do. They tell you. You don't get to decide. Like they're saying, well, we're going to buy this for this much from you because we're going to sell it for this much, and that's less than you sell it for. So they're going to undercut your website prices because they want to guarantee their customers get the lowest price guarantee, blah, 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 blah. So they're going to undercut your price, but then they want to be margin neutral, meaning no matter what they're selling it for, they want that same margin, profit margin. So that means you're really screwed. And then you have to send it in this size box, and the label has to be 2 inches down and over. And all this, like, and then if it's not, they're trying to fine you for things. It's a huge nightmare. We deal with it. All these cups that you see on the shelf back here, I don't know if you can see them past that light, but that's a brand we consult for, and those are sold in Target. So Alex just got back at 3 a.m. last night from a meeting at Target in Minnesota. It's just a pain in the butt.
They're in the backyard of my manufacturing facility, as a matter of fact, and they have relationships with those guys. And I don't know, something in my gut is just, I don't know if that's where I need to be.
It's a pain in the butt. You would do better, I think, in some of the smaller, like you said, boutique stores, like the surf shops and the
running stores.
The running stores and sports stuff. And I think, and then just your website, direct to consumer. Amazon, maybe, probably.
We are on Amazon. We have a distributor who is out of Maryland called Coastal Surf Supplies. They've been fantastic to work with, very easy to work with. Shout out to Coastal Surf. They've been good to us, and they came on board really early with us. So they call on a lot of the surf shops. They're just surf industry, though. And then we just recently connected with a distributor in Florida. And Florida is like 5 countries in one. And if you are not in the state of Florida, it is very difficult to move around Florida. This lady is basically on the coast. She is oceanfront. She's in the boating industry. Coast Guard. Her husband's retired Coast Guard. She's become such a friend of mine. So we've just been so blessed with these people that have just kind of shown up at the right times. And that's what's happened with this business. It has just been almost divine intervention for us. I am almost a bulldog in the sense I have to pull myself back and just not put so much pressure on myself that it's going to happen. It's growing. There's lots of positive things happening. We have lots of projects that we're working on, just to be patient. But I mean, we're only 2 years old, if that, really.
Yeah, since you started really going at it full time,
Yes.
like a business.
Yeah.
Versus just doing
Well,
it
really,
side.
1 year old is I quit my job a year ago. So we are really early on in the process. But
Right.
it is a full time. I could do this
Now, do you have
24 hours a day.
do you have any employees, or are you out? And you're outsourcing some stuff? I know.
I do outsource a lot. I do have a marketing guru. I have a website guy. I have, of course, a printer guy that helps me with lots of our printed materials. Of course, I have my manufacturer, my co-packer, my distributor, my chemist. Lord, I got a lot of people. I didn't realize that until I started listing
here's
them
what's
off.
funny, though, is like how many moving parts there are to make the machine work.
CPA.
Yeah.
Highly recommend getting a real CPA. Courtney Epps has been phenomenal. If you do not know Courtney, she has written a book. She thinks that everyone should have a home-based business to protect themselves from taxes. And if you don't, you're crazy. Look up Courtney Epps, EPPS. But yeah, she does all of my bookkeeping just to make sure I'm exactly where I need to be.
All right, see you, John. I'm coming to the gym later for Area
Bye,
51 training.
That dude is not even human, I don't think.
No, he's not. He's a robot.
He is. So there's all these different people that I work with, but it's just me in my little cave, as I call it. But I don't feel like I'm
Well, you're
alone.
communicating with people all day long, I'm sure. I mean,
yes.
you're the orchestrator, moving all the pieces around.
Yes.
Good for you.
It is nuts.
Is that what you enjoy doing?
I haven't
Or
even
did you
thought
get
about that.
stuck in that position?
It was just kind of something that naturally happened because,
Right.
I had to go get articles of organization. So I had to work with a business attorney, and then I had to go to the FDA and make sure I had my crap in order. I just had to do those things.
I hate that crap. All of that kind of admin type stuff.
Yeah.
Nope, not me.
I don't love it.
What I have other people for. I couldn't do it. I'm not into that stuff at all. I need to be making a video, sewing some new product, doing something with my hands, or I'm going to lose my mind.
And it's sad that I don't know where I'm supposed to be for that kind of stuff yet. I don't know. I mean, I really
What's wrong
enjoy
with that?
talking
I was just
to
curious.
people.
So,
I
because
love to talk
Alex,
to
my
people.
partner, he loves, like, nothing more than sitting in his computer and emailing 400 people a day and creating a spreadsheet.
Negative.
And I'm like, no, I'm good. Get me out of here.
I have not been within 4 walls for 20 years, and now I'm in 4 walls.
But you're doing it for something you're passionate about. So I
It's
think
totally
that's
different.
where
Yes.
it's changed.
A to the man.
Yes. That's where it's changed.
For sure.
So interesting.
It really is.
Isn't
The
it
whole dynamic
amazing
is
how
crazy.
much I tell people all the time, they're like, how, people want to know how I work so much. Like, how are you
not
doing
feel
all
like
this
work,
stuff?
does
I'm
it?
like, it doesn't feel like I love it. I'm passionate about it. When you have that much passion about something, that passion creates the energy.
Yeah.
The energy, and that's the energy that allows you to work till 2 a.m. if you want to, and then get up at 6:30 a.m. And then John whoops you butt, and you're still working. And
There's something to that, though. There is something to the exercise that helps.
I don't know about that.
Perform
I don't know. I'm weird.
business.
I'm not human either. I'm convinced because everyone says to me like, "Oh, you're gonna have more energy." I'm like, "Do you know how much energy I have already? Are you out of your mind?" And then when I work out, ask John. In the middle of a workout, I'm like yawning, falling asleep and this is at like 5 o'clock in the
But you
afternoon.
eat like crap because I've heard you say that. I've
I
heard
do.
you admit I eat
do
that.
eat like crap.
So do I. So I can say that. Too.
John and I were at Moe's last night eating dinner. Anyways, but we got on a kick about nutrition because I'm kind of like plateaued. I've lost like 20 pounds in the past 2.5 months. And I was like, dude, I think I'm done losing weight. Like, I don't think he's like, time to talk about nutrition some more. And he was really interesting because he was like trying to explain it to me in layman Beav terms. He's like, if this bottle represents the amount of calories you need every day to maintain your weight, he's like, if you eat too many, you get fat. If you don't eat enough, your body goes into like reserve mode and tries to hold on to what it can, so it stores and you get fat. He said you need to be like just under what you actually need in calories, but the right kind of calories, because calories are just a unit of measurement. You know what I mean? It's like a mile. Like, well, a mile on pavement is not the same mile in sand when you're running. It's harder. It's so he's like, you just need to go, so now if I have to start counting calories, I'm going to be, screw that. I'm be like, well, can I just work out an extra day so I don't have to count calories? And I'll just.
Working out is easier than handling nutrition.
I hate working out. I hate the gym. I hate all that stuff.
You do.
John has been really good at, like, I enjoy it now.
Good.
More than ever. And I used to work out at that gym years ago before I met my wife. And I would work out with some buddies, and it was fun. I was like in my early 20s, and we just kind of like goof off at the gym and whatever. Then I met my wife. Then we had kids, and I was getting fat, and like,
Happens to us all.
those kinds of things.
We've all been there, I think.
And then I was like, all right, I need to start working out again. And I was working out. I was doing CrossFit kind of stuff. Was not my type of working out one bit. And me being such a cool guy, I'm out riding my skateboard. I break my leg.
Stop it.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you? That's how you broke your leg? Was on your? Yeah. Do you have a one wheel?
Yeah, I do.
We do too.
Do you? You guys,
I can't
we should
ride
go
it.
for a ride.
My 13-year-old rides it everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
He loves it.
I ride it to the
Sold
gym,
his dirt bike
which is-
to buy one wheel.
That's amazing.
Loves it.
It's awesome.
Because we mountain bike,
Uh-huh.
and he hated mountain biking, which killed me. So instead, he can ride his one wheel while we mountain bike, which is really awesome.
It's really cool.
Those things are
Sketchy.
amazing.
They're awesome. I love it. It's sketchy, but so I have a one wheel and I have a boosted board.
Yes, I've seen.
And the
seen
boosted
that.
board is how I broke my leg.
Eesh.
And then I just got a one wheel.
Yeah, those
And
are
everyone tells me I'm crazy, but like, man, I'm not gonna let a broken leg stop me from doing stuff I want to do.
Yeah,
Not
good for
gonna
you.
happen. If I would have failed if I would have quit doing the business stuff the first time I failed,
Amen.
what do I do?
know.
Like, no, you get back up, you do it again, and like that was a freak
brush
thing.
it
That,
off.
like,
I have
whatever.
found with
Get
the
back on the horse.
exercise though that it helps me problem solve. I'm in the middle of this roller coaster. You may be on the other side of the roller coaster right now.
It
but
don't stop.
It is such a roller coaster.
Uh-huh.
And it's the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, and sometimes in the same day. And that can really play with your head.
Big time.
But if I exercise, it's like, okay, I know I've got to get this done. I've got to do it for this amount of time. It really is, it clears my mind so much. That
I
has
had a
made
really
huge
cool
difference for me.
idea. Well, I had a clear head while I was working out a week or so ago. I just put out a video about this, so you guys listening might know what I'm talking about. I made reference to not wanting to work out, and a lot of people have to have their workout buddy in order to go to the gym, right? Because like, I'm not going to the gym by myself, but if my friend comes with me, like, It's social time. We work out, all this stuff. And I try to help so many people with their businesses and all this kind of stuff. And everyone needs this guidance. And it's almost the same thing. You almost need somebody to make sure that you stay accountable for your, like, hey, did you do that marketing thing? Hey, did you check on this or do that? And I was like, oh, like people need workout buddies, but they need a business buddy.
Yes.
So I want to start a program, an app, a network, even if it's, I haven't figured out how I'm going to do it yet, like how I'm going to structure this, but like I want to do like businessbuddy.com or something like that.
Like
to
a
where
mentorship.
it's kind of like a mentor. I want it to be completely free. And I'm going to, again, there's a lot of figuring out to do, but I think it'll help a lot of people who are just get like stuck in a rut and don't know what to do next. Give them like, hey, this is what you need to do. And then follow up. Like even if it was 2 emails a week that was just like, hey, Monday morning, here's an email of things you should try to do this week or things to keep on task. And then Friday, hey, did you do this stuff? And they're like, oh man, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
And try to keep people accountable. I don't know. Very early thought at this point.
You can be very selective.
Right.
Who you work with, obviously.
Their text messaging is a thing now. I might do a text platform where people I can like actually text with people potentially. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I think it'd be awesome.
Oh,
Business
there's such
buddy.
a need.
I think it could be good. It would have to be very limited because I'd get bombarded and I've got a business to run.
Well, you know,
but I love helping people.
That's awesome. And I've learned too, because I live in such a small town. Our small town of Abbeville has been amazing for this entire journey. But I get exhausted talking about it. So just going to the grocery store, everybody is so sweet, and I want to catch up and talk to them. I could be in the grocery store for 3 hours just answering questions.
Right.
Everybody wants to know. And that's great and awful at the same time.
I
So
know.
I've really removed myself socially and
Have you?
without really knowing I was doing that.
Kind of subconsciously quick.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I'm exhausted.
Right.
It's just you run on, wide open. And in a small town, it's different, I think, than in a bigger city like where you are now. It's just,
I get stopped. Well, but people know. I mean, I was born and raised here, so I know a lot of people already. But then as I have grown, business has grown, and my personal presence has grown online, people start to like, I can't go to Target. My wife now is pissed because like when we go to Target and I get stopped, like I was there. I told this story recently as well, and like 4 dudes stopped. I'm like checking out at Target. I'm like getting ready to walk out the door. I think I got my kids with me or something. And like, I got like 4 guys that stopped me. It was like one guy stopped me, another guy recognized me, and then it was 4 guys. And I'm talking, and my wife's finished checking out and paying, and she's like, hey, we've got to go. And I was like, all right, guys, well, it's good to meet you. She's like, who's that? I was like, I don't know. She's like, I literally cannot leave the house without makeup anymore.
Oh my gosh, I totally get that. But we moved to an even smaller town. I'm
Right.
talking so super rural. And I go to the post office every day. Some of those people are my favorite people. I see them every day. I love seeing them. They're super, super sweet. That's the Ava post office, by the way. Shout out to those guys. They're awesome. But yeah, I feel that way. Like I go
It's
out of
such
town
polar
to do
opposite.
things.
It's like the greatest thing ever, but then it's I don't want to say it's the worst thing ever, but it's polar opposites on
It's
how
exhausting.
it can be. It is exhausting. And, people don't realize how much energy and how much what it takes to be an entrepreneur and to own your own business and to be known for something or whatever. Like you've got to be built for that. You really do. It'll suck the life out of you quickly. And if you're not mentally prepared for those low moments on that roller coaster,
Right.
like you're not going to get back to the top of it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I could see that happening. Faith plays a huge, huge, huge role in our business. And there was no way I could have done this on my own, number one. I'm really just the vessel. All this other stuff is happening outside of me. But yeah, the lows can really be, you can really
tough.
get into a negative place where you're like, oh, I just can't do this. This is done. I need to just forget it. What am I doing? You start talking to yourself like that and you're like, whoa.
Right.
This is not real. Let me just flush that down the commode and pull myself up
on.
out of this.
Yeah.
You really have to
there's
be self-coachable.
Sleepless nights. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that keep you up in the middle of the night thinking about this or that, or I should have done this better, or what if this doesn't work out, or whatever. I mean, there's so many things, but again, you've got to really have faith in yourself, faith in anything, whatever you want to have faith in to help you get through it. But you got to be mentally prepared and built for some of those hard times.
I believe that.
But getting through them is like That's the best part.
I have to tell you this one story because it fits perfectly with this. This is so cool. So when I first started with manufacturing, this very small manufacturer agreed to work with me because I had such low minimums initially because I didn't know what I was doing. So they worked with me on their little sample line. I ordered the tubes. The tubes arrived. I opened the boxes, and I burst out into tears. My husband was probably like, what in the world?
What's wrong?
The tubes came, a lot of them came twisted, meaning when they sealed the top of the tube itself twisted, so my labels were all
Crooked
sideways. And they did not tell me they were coming like that. Yes. There's a good ending to this, but now you understand why I burst into tears. I'm like, oh, this is working. Oh, my God. I just thought, screw it. I'm never doing this again. This is the dumbest thing ever. What was I thinking? Well, the very next day is when I met with these military guys, and they sat down from the table across just like we are, and they said, Miss Tucker, there are two things that we need help with. One is our feet, and one is chafing. And I said, oh, my God. I have about 1,000 tubes I cannot sell. Do you want them? He said, absolutely. We don't give a crap what
they look like. Yeah.
No, as long as that stuff works on the inside, we don't care what the labels look like. That became my first donation to the military. And then after that donation, by the way, I'm fixing to donate a second time to the same group, and they got 1,000 tubes. They all made their way to Special Forces. So this guy is going to donate them to Camp Lejeune, to the actual training for the Marines. And he's like, we need more of that stuff. Can you get it in a black tube? I'm like, I'll do whatever I got to do to get it however you guys want to use it.
Yeah.
And that's when that started. So that was an entire outlet that I'd not even considered. Had those tubes arrived perfectly, I would have just tried to figure out how to sell them and then what. No.
Yeah.
Everything is for a reason. Even the real crappy stuff turned out to be beautiful.
If you can turn negatives into a positive, you are winning.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that was, looking back on that now, that was such a traumatic experience, but it turned out to be great.
Right.
So, yeah, you just got to find the sunshine.
For sure. Are there any other pain points or things that you guys are going through that I can help answer a question for that might be beneficial for them to hear? Maybe they're going through something similar?
Oh, my gosh. Really, I think what I struggle the most with is social media.
Okay. I know somebody that's good at that.
Where to spend ad money. It is overwhelming. And it is a machine in its own right. Mm-hmm. So
here's the thing to know. You got to know your audience. I think the biggest thing is identifying who your audience is. And once you identify, and you have different audiences, you have multiple different markets, you have to tailor your message to that specific audience for each ad set. So you might be sending ads to surfers, you might be sending ads to runners, you might be sending ads to parents. I'm sure this would work well for like diaper rashes or whatever potentially. I think we've mentioned that or talked about that previously or whatever, but there's different messages for these different people, right? There's different pictures that go with that. There's different copy that's going to go with that. Obviously different audiences, so you have to segment that out first because you can make the best ad in the world, but if it's to the wrong person, it doesn't matter. So the audience is the most important part. And you can get really, really granular in Facebook Ads Manager with those audiences. Like it's nauseating to a point. Now, to help you to a point, the problem becomes you have so many different segments. You can create, I don't know how many sales you've had or how many email addresses. Are you doing email marketing?
Yes and no. So Shopify, as you know, disconnected with MailChimp.
Right.
So that kind of put me in a, oh my God, I'm not going to send any emails right now. Just started that back up by MailChimp, but just by downloading
it.
And no, I just
you're exporting it
yes.
and then going into
yes.
MailChimp. Got it.
Yeah.
You ought to sign up with Clayvo. It's a different KLAVIYO. It's another email platform, very similar to MailChimp. It's a step up for MailChimp on the e-commerce side of email platforms. We kind of outgrew MailChimp, went to Clayvo. They have a lot more capabilities than MailChimp had. It was slightly more expensive at the time, but I think their pricing tiers have kind of come down to more in line what MailChimp was. but they have a native integration with Shopify and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's good. That's helpful.
Yep. Yep. So, and there's a lot, again, they just have more capabilities that'll be more beneficial to you as an e-commerce brand with Clayvo. So
That's helpful.
what I was going to say was, I don't know how many email addresses you have there, but you can export those email addresses and upload them into Facebook, and that'll create an audience of all your purchasers. And then you can take and make a lookalike audience of those people. So you say, these are all the people who've bought for me. This is what they look like on a Facebook audience. And let's say it's, I don't know, 2,000 people or whatever. You can make a lookalike audience of like 6 million people that look just like that.
Yes, I have been through that process.
Okay. Now, the problem with that is, how do you segment that? Like, well, these are swimming
Surfers,
people and this
these are
and
moms,
that. Yeah, you got it.
These are
So
athletes. Yeah.
but you could segment that down. You could say, all right, here's my huge list. Let me at least separate this to male, female, or this age to this age, and then you start separating that big audience into smaller audiences. There's definitely some nuances to go through, and that's more of a.
That's the part I don't like.
You need to sit down with somebody
administrative stuff.
Yeah, but that's it. I love.
Ads. You do like that?
That's problem solving.
Oh, now I can solve some problems, but
If
I
you
can't
look
stand
at it
some
like,
Facebook.
listen, if you look at it like problem solving, like, all right, how do I get from here to here? It changes, I think, for you. You're a problem solver.
That Facebook stuff that makes me want to throw my computer out of the window. It just
I'll
is
do
a
whatever I
challenge.
can to help, and Ryan's really, really good with this kind of stuff too. I don't want to make promises, but like there might be an opportunity for me to help you out, and I can even look at some. We'll talk off camera about a lot of that stuff, but back to my point, the audience is the most important part, and then getting the right message to each one of those particular audiences with the right visuals and the right words and all that kind of stuff, and then you just have to spend enough money for it to make sense, because the small budgets, people are like, oh, I spent $20, but it didn't get me anything. I mean,
what is that threshold? Do you know what that magic number is for it to be even break even? For
on a
ad
minimum
spend? Yeah.
No,
So
see, the problem is
acquisition cost.
yeah. Well, it just depends on the product. Like a higher priced product is going to have a higher cost to acquire a customer, probably, right? Like it's going to cost you a lot more money to sell a home on Facebook than it is a bottle of water. So you might be able to acquire a customer on Facebook for $2 or $3. It cost me a lot more than that to sell a $150 bag.
Right.
So it's going to vary from market to market, and depending on your price point. And
Does it vary between platform?
It can.
Facebook,
Instagram,
Pinterest.
Yeah, it can vary for sure. Again, it all comes down to your targeting. It really is. You're more likely to sell it to a female than you are to a male.
Yeah, that's and all of our analytics. It's 75% female, 25% male. In the surf market, believe it or not. But in the running market, I've had about 50-50.
Right.
So that's been kind of interesting just to learn those things. The analytics exist. This data is out there, and it's not hard to find it.
Yeah, I'll take coffee. Man, special delivery. I feel kind of guilty drinking this nice hot coffee, though. Sorry.
It's kind of hot in here. Are you not?
It is. It gets.
Like, you want hot coffee? Oh, my God, I'm going to burst into flames.
Yeah, social media. So the ad side of it, there's so much to know. I've got tutorials and that stuff. There's a lot of really good information on that. We could sit here for hours, but it's just getting the right message in front of the right people and then pushing them down the funnel. So I talk about that funnel, and a lot of our strategy in the beginning has been creating ads at top of funnel just to get people engaged with the brand and then trying to sell them after that. So there's ads. You have to look at each campaign separately and not the entire ads manager as a whole at times, because when you go and you put money behind an ad for engagement, it's just getting people to watch this video, to like this post, to comment, to engage with the brand. That will tell you that'll help you gauge whether you have a potential customer or not. If they engage with that, so they watch that video or they comment or they share this post, you're like, well, this person must be interested in what we have to sell. Then you follow that up with an ad to the people who've engaged, and say, hey, we're Salty Britches. This is the problem we solved. Come to our website, check it out. They come to your website, they check it out. Maybe they buy something, maybe they don't. If they don't, guess what? You retarget them with another ad. It's to people who've went to the website who didn't purchase that says, hey, again, we're Salty Britches. Remember you came to our website? Here's 10% off. Come back and buy a tube and get the second one, whatever.
So you do that part through Facebook ad, not through Shopify follow-up emails.
Correct.
Okay.
Facebook Ads Manager. You can put all that stuff. Have you installed the Facebook Pixel on your site and all that stuff? Mm-hmm. Cool. That's hugely valuable. Yeah. That's a big step that a lot of people don't know about, or just like, nah, I haven't done it yet. I'm like, that's so valuable.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
We have it. We have that in the Instagram, both.
Mm-hmm. Email's powerful, very powerful. I would definitely jump on Clayvo and get your email marketing going, because those follow-up emails, because here's the other thing that you may understand, or even when you come into those hotter months, summer months, where like we need somebody who maybe bought last year, is send them a follow-up email. Hey, it's that season again. Don't forget about your Salty Britches or whatever.
The good thing is we also have a winter product called Winter Skin Relief. And what we learned...
I thought maybe you were going to call it Frozen Britches.
Oh, my God. I love that name. That I should look into that. That's a lot more fun than Winter Skin Relief. But the brand Salty Britches is on it. And the FDA makes you name it with a name that people understand what the use is for. So if the brand, oh, good Lord, I could sit here forever talking
I know,
about the
I
FDA,
deal with it.
The brand itself, Salty Britches, doesn't tell you what it's for. So we had to give it a really boring name so you would know how to use it. So Winter Skin Relief is what that's for. But what we learned, I know.
It's so boring.
Oh, may need to revisit that one. But what we learned with the chafing ointment is we formulated this so it would not melt in the heat. Well, if you take it to Minnesota when it's a polar vortex of -50, which I was in Minnesota for that, it will not squeeze out of the tube. It freezes. Up. So we had a lot of orders that came from the Northeast where it was super cold. So we're like, okay, we need to come up with a formula that will not freeze. So we did. We came up with Winter Skin Relief. It will not freeze, but it will melt in the heat. So same ingredients. It's just playing with the ingredients. So it works great for chapped lips and chapped hands and dry skin. And
interesting.
For example, the Coast Guard, they're based in the northern part of Michigan. It's cold all year.
We're out in Alaska or wherever.
Yes,
yeah.
And they wear these huge suits, and they get chafing around their neck from the neck of these suits that they have to wear all the time. And it's a real issue. They get it around their arms from the cuffs, and these things are kind of scratchy, and they have Velcro, and it's just kind of irritating. Mm-hmm. And that's what they use it for. So we came up with the winter version, which we haven't done an official real launch because the government shut down last December. That delayed us till April to launch a winter product. So we're going to launch it this year.
What's your current... Sorry, I'm going to go back to social media because I want to make sure that I answer some good questions for you and that everyone else gets some really good information. What's your current strategy on social media outside of ad stuff? Because that's a whole nother strategy. But do you have a particular strategy on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, YouTube, any of that kind of stuff?
We just post. I don't really have a real strategy. That's probably a space I need to spend time giving words to and goals to.
Right.
And I haven't done that.
I think educating the end consumer about stuff that your product can help them with, even random stuff that they might not even think about, that it works well for, that isn't necessarily your typical advertised message of chafing. Maybe it's like you said, chapped lips or this or that. Hey, I know our diaper bags, for example. Hey, it's a diaper bag, but when your kid's out of diapers, guess what? It's a range bag, it's a laptop bag, it's a this bag, it's a that bag, it's all these different things, but we really sell it as a diaper bag. Same thing for you, educating them on other different uses of the product, and then also educating them on other things. Or maybe because you're so heavily in the athlete world, you get guys like John to come on and talk about running and talk about nothing even related to your product, maybe people that use the product, but it's about running and it's about surfing and it's about the sports that people are involved in that are using your product. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, you could do a podcast, you could do
yeah.
videos, you can outsource that to your athletes that are like, hey, make me a minute-long video that I can post on Instagram that's like a weekly or a monthly running tip from John that's coming from you guys. You know what I'm saying?
Love it,
Like
yeah.
something that you could provide value because, and then wintertime's coming, you're going to have a whole market of snowboarding guys that you could probably tap into out in Utah. And
one of our surfer kids is
now my brain's turning and the real good stuff's going to start coming out.
Good.
But
I'm writing it down.
I think that would be huge, is just talking about the demographic versus the product. Like we do a podcast on parenting. Like it's indirectly related to selling the bag, but nowhere in my podcast have I ever asked anybody to go buy something.
Right. That would cheapen.
It would, right. Like we're community. That's what you're after.
Very good.
You know what I mean?
So how long after you started the brand did you start the podcast?
We just started the podcast earlier this year. So years. I mean, we've only done like 17 episodes or something. Full episodes. And then this that you're listening, that we're on, is for my personal brand, you know, and that's only got like 5 episodes. And I'm like, I fit this in between things when I have time or somebody fun like you comes in.
Nice.
So community,
that is good stuff.
Community.
Right there.
Community. People get involved with that. They're just inherently going to purchase from you. Give them like the best free advice on training or this or that would be awesome. That.
How do you compensate your ambassadors for that kind of stuff?
Some of them will do it for free. You know, some of them just want to barter for a product. Hey, you keep sending me tubes of your stuff and I'll keep making your stuff. That's a no-brainer.
What about
now? Some of them are paid depending on the size of like these influencers or ambassadors, whatever. And they all have a different price. There's no consistency. There's no baseline.
Template,
you know, there's nothing on that stuff. Somebody's going to charge you $200. The next guy's going to try to charge you $2,000. There's just no telling.
Yeah,
and you have to figure that value out for yourself. Of like, well, is it worth $200 or is it worth $2,000 or?
What about the codes for ambassadors? So you give them an affiliate code.
Yeah, we don't do that stuff. I feel spammy with that. And
I
feel the influencers that do a lot of that stuff, some of them are great with it. Some of them absolutely crush it with that type of influencer marketing. Other ones are just come off as spammy and they start to lose their audience and they lose their authenticity, and it's overall a lose-lose for everybody because now your brand is affiliated with this person that's just spammy and yada, yada, yada. So we're like, unless it's a holiday, Christmas, Black Friday, Father's Day, Mother's Day, like we get our influencers to help promote those sale holidays, but on a random Wednesday, they're not, use my coupon code this. We just don't, I don't like that. It seems inauthentic, personally.
Yeah. I mean, and I've done some of that. But what I have found is that the ambassadors don't really post about their code. They just tag us and everything.
Right. Which isn't the worst thing.
No.
It's not nearly as effective as it used to be, and the times have changed quite a bit on that, but it still works. It still works. If I had more time to really think through some strategies, and I will, and I guarantee you're going to get some text from me in like 3 days that I'm going to be like, oh, you got to do this.
You'll wake up and be like, oh my God, I had the best idea.
Yeah,
like,
it'll be top of mind for me for
winter
weeks.
bridges.
I guarantee it. Cool.
I love it. This has been fun.
Yeah.
Very
I'm
helpful.
so glad you came.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm so glad you had me.
For sure. Guys, thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast because I know that some of you are listening, but you haven't subscribed. Get to it. Make sure you leave a rating, review, and go check out Amy at Salty Britches. Where can they find you? Give us all the places.
Yes. Instagram, we're at Get Salty Britches. Website is getsaltybritches.com. Facebook is Get Salty Britches. So, yeah, you can find us in all those places.
Awesome. Thank you.
Pinterest now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of our favorite places.
Get Salty Britches on
Yes,
everything. Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys in the next episode.